during that 10 hours. One of our yellow placards that has the teacher's name and grade on them, and the kids line up. We do a character first every morning. In morning assembly, we do the pledge to the American flag, pledge to the Texas flag.
Don't forget the Texas flag.
I didn't forget. And we do character first.
Honor
so
the Texas flag.
each grade level picks a character 1 month that they do. So like this month, we're still in November, we did gratitude. Next month, we'll be doing truthfulness. And we put it in our...
Well, you know, they've been here, what has it been, about 5 years, I guess. We've, you know, it's been a great relationship. It's like anything else where you're trying to share. You know, there's bumps that you hit. I think we've worked through most of those. I mean, that first.
Sure, but Dr. Ted will tell you that as far as a church, it probably is one of the best things they've done in the last 5 years, 5 or 6 years, just to engage their community. Because what happens is
2 kindergarten, 3 first grade, and 2 of every other grade class. Then downstairs we have 2 kindergarten classes, and I'll take you to the other side where we have 1 4th grade class and 2 5th grade classes over there. So I'll just turn
And you offer the advantage to the group to talk to both as a
parent, yes,
and staff member.
Staff member. So I can
Ask lots of questions.
Yeah, ask tons. Yeah. And like I said, I go through the gamut. I've been elementary, middle school, and I have 2 that graduated from high school, so I can tell you all about responsive ed.
Very good. So
For Wednesday night church,
Okay,
all
and
she
then
does
when you
is
come back, we're
everything that she
set up
needs
for
that's like
business
on
day,
here, she'll put
right
that stuff
before
away.
we
She
go
has a
to
closet
lunch.
right there where she stores everything.
Okay,
This closet is the church's closet where they store everything.
and so after we set up for business
And she
day,
just
we'll go
rolls
to
her
lunch, we'll
Elmo.
come back, and then we have
And then they
business
use
day.
the tables and the space.
So there's no problem having Christian material.
Our teachers can't teach it.
if it's on the wall, it's fine.
So we book the gym, we book this room, of course all of our classrooms, they know where we are, and what times we'll have them. And then if like, they need to borrow it for somewhere, like they have the first Tuesday of the month, there's something that happens in the gym. They have this big senior luncheon thing, and so they have tables set up, so we don't use the gym then, even though it's during our time. So we really work together and coordinate with them on how we share this space. It really is a shared space. We use their sanctuary for Christmas programs, those kind of things. And almost any space here, we can use their playground, is for us, and half of it is for the church. Because their numbers and what grades they have in these classrooms do not necessarily, it's pajama day in second grade, does not necessarily coordinate with.
I'm just gonna walk right through you guys.
That's fine.
So what we do in this classroom, our grade levels don't always coordinate with their grade levels, which is why we share this half. And what we've agreed to do is not put anything on the doors we try not to confuse their kids, and they try not to confuse our kids.
Yeah.
And so that's why we use this, so we know this is their 5th grade, but for us, this is our learning lab. So from my perspective as a parent, it feels like a private Christian school without being a private Christian school, if that makes sense. And on Thursdays after school, the church offers as a volunteer, the church offers a program where they do like a little Bible club for the kids. Parents can opt in or opt out. They have to sign a permission slip that their kid can go, and it's for an hour. One laying in the nurse's office. One of those closets is her closet where she stores all of her materials, and the other one is the closet where the church stores all their children's ministry materials. And then like the stuff that she has on that ledge over there, those bins, she stacks those there. And then the church will use, of course, the bulletin boards, the dry erase boards, and those kind of things. From the church to get us in and out of the building, to recognize us as staff. So everybody on staff here has those, but we also have responsive ed badges as well. Different grade levels here on the different sides. Today, when we do hot lunch, we'll actually open this up because we only serve hot lunch, so we can serve everybody in here. But this is also another one of our shared spaces. This used to be carpeted, and then they figured out real quick we have lunch in here. So they tiled it.
So what's the enrollment here again, did you say? 300? Okay. And what grades again?
K through 5.
Okay, we have down this hallway here is the church's preschool. I've been there. I've been to that sycamore tree. I was there a few weeks ago.
All of this is the pre-K and children's ministry. So this is all.
Yeah. Pumpkin Big Church.
Have 140 enrolled, and they start at 12 months and go to pre-K.
And how many do we have, Tricia?
This is impressive. I love the walls here.
Yeah. So this is the Family Life Center? is
Yes,
what you
called the
call it?
Family Life Center.
And it's a big
But
gymnasium?
we're in the nursery wing.
A nursery wing, okay.
Church also offers like sports athletic programs, so like my kids play basketball. Yeah, because of the school being here and all the programs they offer, the athletics, those kind of things, they've gotten a lot of new members, especially in the children's ministry from Vista, that people who didn't have church homes have found their home here each, and they pray for that teacher or that staff member all year. And they come in the beginning of the year, they meet with the teachers, they pray with the teachers, and they talk to us about how they're covering us in prayer and stuff during the year.
A big campus like this one and like ours, where you're going to have church folk and school folk. Is there a standard protocol that everybody in the building needs to go by, check in, because it's considered?
All the adults, if you notice, will look. So we'll see, do you have a tag?
Good.
They'll say, who are you? How can I help you? We'll look for those. That badge for us. Every parent that comes into the building has a check-in.
Good.
And when we go on field trips and we take the kids out, I make them come and get a badge even on the field trips. When we're out with the kids, see someone and we don't really know them, we'll call down to Mark, who's our head of maintenance. I'm not sure who this person is. I don't know if they're a church person. Can you go check? And they're really good about getting everyone to check everything that goes on in this building.
A month ahead of time.
And so if they're having a Bible study, we know that there's a Bible study going on in those rooms over there. There's those. They never use rooms that are on our side of the building during the week, during our school hours. It's usually going to be over there. If for some reason, like they need this space, and we use this for if it's raining outside for PE in the morning, we share with the preschool. If you see these, they're over there. Those blue things will make this in half, and the preschool will be on this half. And we'll roll in half. But if the church needs to use this space during our time, they let us know they're going to use this space so we can relocate. We know that ahead of time, so we can work together to relocate. Children's ministry program, basketball. We do. We hand that stuff out. We do the first 2 weeks of carpool when it's 100 degrees outside, and our volunteers are out there directing traffic. The church will come in and they'll give water bottles to everybody in the carpool. And so they really get to try to know the parents, and we try to get to know them so everybody feels comfortable when they're in this space.
You have little rubs back and forth because the people didn't take the time to sit down and discuss.
Absolutely.
Both, it could have been us. I mean, I've only been here for 2 years at the other side. They were so anxious to make the deal happen. They didn't take the time to sit down and say, we got to consider this. Like a courtship, if you get everything on the table.
And I think
you have kids getting used to a space, and now you got to move them to a public school. So for those that want to stay. So, and would you say you have 200 kids? She gets about 80, would you say 50 or 60%?
50% at least, if not more, comes. Like I said, the first in kindergarten, our waiting list this year for kindergarten was 85. Wow. And we filled one whole class with just siblings of people in Vista, and the next whole class came from the preschool, and then we were out of space.
Yeah, our policy is that siblings have a priority.
Stephanie, I'm like, Stephanie, when we ask for additional space, when we want those kind of things, you work with the church and you go, okay, we need more space. And so what we do is we do a reciprocal relationship. We'll give you, after our families, we'll give your preschool first dibs in exchange to come into kindergarten with us, in exchange for you giving us more use of facilities or giving us more space when we need more space. And that's working well because the parents of the preschool who don't have kids here, they've heard about it. They see us all the time because our carpools only are about 20 minutes difference in time.
Okay.
And so they see us come in for carpool and leave for carpool. We see them come in, and they're used to coming here, and they see us in the hallways. And they're like, what is that?
Right.
For Vista, we
This
start...
is the carpools,
Carpool.
huh?
We start 7:30, and we go until 8 o'clock in the morning. And then the preschool starts at 8:40 and goes until 9. In the afternoon, preschool gets out at 1:40, so they go 1:40 to 2, and we go 3 to 3:15. We can empty this whole school in 15 minutes. And we have carpool routes, and we train really heavily on carpool.
Tricia, how would that carpooling situation work with us?
We our hours are 9 to 1, and our parents have to walk their children into the classroom, so that wouldn't affect us at all.
That wouldn't
What
have an
happens
impact.
is there's a certain age
Older
range.
kids,
Yeah,
so-
when the older kids are in the hallway, their job is to set an example for the younger kids. And so if you know you're not supposed to be talking in the hallway, if you're talking, you're the authority, the kids are going to do what you do. So if they're in trouble because you were doing that, now you're in trouble.
Good lesson.
And so that's why when they'll see me, like I said, I've been here since the school opened. My family is a Reponsive Ed family, so.
And
They talk about those 7 habits and how do you embrace those 7 habits. And I know we did that also in middle school. Here in the elementary, together with Character First, we talk about 7 habits. And we We really focus in on that, and we have one. So we do have a special ed staff, and we do inclusion teacher where we have teachers we send into the classroom with them, and we also have sometimes we pull them out for taking their tests and those kind of things.
That's what we want to plan now. That's particularly in your location. We want to do 2 schools in one. Have a small autism conclave with a standard elementary. Now we have a grant to do that. We award another grant to start another autism school. We were blessed to get a grant to start another one because we've done such a good job at that one. And when we do autism, they would start probably with kindergarten, first grade. They kind of work.
So we're able to share the same furniture. In fact, I think Vista's using our furniture up there in most ends, like the tables and chairs, and so that helped significantly. Like, where does the teacher's desk sit? And who cleaned? Getting stuff put up so it's not in the way on Sunday, and us put it back up where it's not in the way on Monday, was kind of just something that we just let the teachers work out. The Vista teachers worked with the Sunday school teachers, and they'd kind of meet and discuss who gets what bulletin board and who gets which this. I think it must be working well because I'm only involved whenever there's a major problem that somebody else has to come solve. So, and I haven't had to get involved in a long time. So, so it works really well. The thing I've found about Vista too is that they're very flexible. I mean, it's any kind of relationship like this has to be pretty flexible.
Who talks to who? So, like, Vista has an on-campus school principal. What's the campus director? So, X has happened. Does she go to like a facilities director here, or director of children's ministry, or how did you guys kind of decide that?
Yeah, our children's minister is the direct staff liaison with them, so they're the ones that work together 99% of the time.
Yeah,
and. If there's a facilities issue, if there's just something's broken or whatever, we've usually tried to let Vista tell them to call the children's minister. I mean, especially at the beginning, because I just didn't want her to have to worry about, okay, who do I call for this problem? You call one person, let that person take care of getting it fixed for you. Over time, as she's been here, she now knows the facilities guy, and so she can call him directly. And if the toilet's overflowing or something, they want to get somebody in there right away. So that all. Okay. So but most of the time it's still our children's minister. Mm-hmm. And
when the campus first opened up here with Reponsive Ed, that was how long ago?
It's about 5 years.
5 years. Were you here at that time? Mm-hmm. How did that impact your congregation and the church and membership and those sorts of things?
Well, we had to do a little bit of a sales job for the church. I mean, because it's kind of a unique concept and all. And what we did was Reponsive Ed sent out a representative, and we had 2 or 3 forums. I think we had 2 forums maybe, like on a Wednesday night or something like that. And there were a lot of questions, a lot of concerns raised. We put together a little Q&A or FAQ kind of sheet that we handed out, and we just tried to describe it all. And then, since then, there's never been any problem at all. We had probably our biggest issue, if we had any issues at all, it was with our weekday preschool, because we have a weekday preschool also. They were really concerned about suddenly there's this influx of children and people and everything in their space kind of stuff. And they really have 2 separate spaces, but they did have to work out playgrounds and those kind of stuff, and the gym and all. But again, it was just communicating and learning to work it out and work together. Now what we found is that the Vista's presence here has probably helped improve our weekday preschool's attendance. So that's grown. We've maxed out really there because a lot of parents who bring their kids to Vista have young kids who are preschool, so they just put them all here too. And then I think some of our preschool feeds into Vista too sometimes. So it's kind of it worked out there. Where right now we just renewed for a 3-year term, but in the beginning we did 2-year terms. So we've signed, the initial lease was 2 years, and then we renewed it for 2 years, and then we're in the first year of a 3-year term.
Yeah, pretty much.
So you feel like it covers any additional maintenance, repair, long-term costs that you would have associated with it, you know, a substantial additional usage of the facilities, I guess. So, obviously, that
Yeah.
seems to.
I think so. I mean, yeah, I think it's. I mean, it's. Yeah, it's. We feel comfortable it's covering it all. I think it was pretty close to what was market for a per square foot basis kind of thing. It was close. I think it probably adequate.
Did you notice additional repair costs for painting, new carpet, and that sort of thing? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's been a little. Yeah, yes. Okay. Definitely the painting. In fact, we're sitting there thinking we have a. You know, I know you were up there and you saw the murals of the pictures. Well, that's been a quandary for us because those walls are dirty and we're needing to repaint, and we're kind of figuring out, okay, we're just going to paint over the murals and start over, do something different. So, but the murals were there before they moved in, and so, but we're thinking, okay, we're going to have to lose those and try something different now. Well, the other thing, we've had to replace some carpet where they have their meals, because their cafeteria is in the classroom, and after a while, that carpet got...
They put tile.
We put the tile down because that carpet was... We just installed a brand new security system just this summer, but we had a different security system that was already in.
80% are working extremely well like this, and there were growing pains, just like there is in a marriage or having kids or anything else, but they sit down, and if you can communicate about it, and so on, it works well. The 20% that don't work, they don't have relationship, there are rules and so on like that. And
our response, we're getting rent, and so I feel I've got to keep the facility, and it's our costs, you know, and everything. There's some things I think are their costs, and I'll call them up and tell them, I think you guys owe us for this, and they usually have. You know, it's you know, we'll talk about it. So they've been very easy to work with. Yeah, I don't know how many, 250 children over there, 300 children, whatever, and you hardly notice. So I mean, when they're in the hallways, it's quiet. They're very well behaved. So I don't know, whatever they do a good job. It's not with one gym. I wish we had different setup. Wish we had another big room, but we don't. So we have to sometimes really go in there and take the space from them. But we have a calendaring system, and we put them on it. So if they want a room that's not part of their normal lease, they're supposed to calendar it just like we do, and they're people who've become members of our church and can become active in our events and activities. I mean, that's part of the reason. That's the main reason we did this, was because we felt it was going to be an outreach. And so a lot of people who weren't going to church, or they're here 5 days of the week, so now this is their church in a sense. So they just come on Sunday. So we've seen growth. They've become part of our church because of this.
But you've seen a spike in income, not only from the rent, but probably from additional membership.
Well, yeah, we've seen that, and then of course what I do with the rent too is I've never rolled it into the operating budget. I just we set that off to the side, and because I just don't want to become reliant on it. I don't know, you know. So we've used it for special programs, special.
Like a cookie jar.
It's a cookie jar, and we do it, but we use for big purchases, things that I couldn't normally have done, one-time kind of things. That's what I try to limit it to, is the stuff that if.
What's the relationship or the reception like between, like, the school district, public school folks who are maybe really active in your church, and then saw the church endorsing, so to speak, this private school? You know, was there any sense of, hey, you guys are bailing out on Carrollton schools, or, you know, because I know, like, in Louisville, we have a lot of LISD folks in administration who are real active in our church.
Yeah.
And so now suddenly we're opening up, you know, in their eyes, a private school operation.
Right. I never saw any kind of.
You didn't get any pushback on that?
Issues related to that. No, I never heard any pushback about that. I mean, what we heard more of was concern about it being a public school, you know, because as a charter. And so what are they going to be teaching about evolution and, you know, all those kind of public school issue kind of things. And, you know, and that was just one of the questions that came up in the meeting, which we just simply told people they're going to teach what they've got to teach. But the people that we are dealing with are, you know, the director and her husband, they've joined our church, and they're most of the Stephanie, they're members here now, and so those kind of things happen, and it feels much like a private school. It feels like almost a Christian private school, but they've been very cooperative in the sense of if we've got an activity, we can give them a brochure or a handout, and they'll put it in their kids' packets and send them home. So we're able to tell about VBS or fall festivals or whatever.
And is that a decision based on the directors?
Really, for it to work as the communications standpoint, that really, and the both sides being willing to be flexible, because I think if a church went in there and said, takes the position, this is our property and you got to follow certain rules, I think it's going to be tougher because they've got to be able to do their job too. So I think it's just a matter of just working through those kinks. There's a lot of flexibility has to happen, and then it all kind of levels out. So.
And it's really about kids and providing choice. And the other thing that sometimes becomes a problem, we were just in a discussion yesterday, if you're in an environment and the church members think it's going to be all about educating their kids, kind of like the traditional Christian school, and all at once you have 50-60% kids that aren't part of the church family, some embrace that. I have a feeling pastor and the school here embrace that. Other people wouldn't. So that's where that forum, but it starts with the senior pastor and staff.
How do you handle that? If you have a church member here who's on the waiting list,
they don't get priority. They can't.
Yeah, we don't.
Not unless they double tithe. Then they
Oh, so there is a rule there. Okay.
We worked that out with the senior pastor.
So who actually makes those decisions? Then that's done by the school?
Set by state law.
Set by law.
Set by the law. That's what I like to hear. Okay.
Yeah, and it's in our policy book, and it's very clearly, and we'll be going into open and what we call open.
And we can explain some of that afterwards.
But it's set by law.
Yeah.
It isn't.
Okay.
But we have nothing to do with that. Who's member, who gets in school.
No, we don't want to.
You don't get that.
You have nothing. You'll have to go to the city. You'll have to get certificate of occupancy. There's all those kind of things, and sometimes that may, you're going to get the inspection from the city, and they, and they're going to change things. Just because once you let them in your building, you're going to find something.
Yeah,
that you
we're
gotta
pretty
do.
familiar with our little city.
So there'll be those kind of unexpected costs.
The relationship with the facilities.
Yeah.
From school, I didn't know if they hired their own facility guy, or they utilized your facility guys, or what.
Well, our deal is, and I think this is negotiated between them. I already have my own facility staff anyway, full-time facility staff, even whether Vista was here or not. But they hire a night cleaning crew. So they have a cleaning crew. Vista brings in a cleaning crew each night that is responsible for cleaning up their area and setting it up for the next day.
Oh, okay.
And we try to set it where we try to make the arrangement to be where they set up for themselves, we set up for ourselves. So on Friday, we go in and we clean and we get everything set up for Sunday. Now, this doesn't work perfectly because I don't think their group comes in on Sunday night and cleans and gets ready for Monday. So I don't know what kind of mess they have on Monday, but we're not doing it. So I'm scared to know what in the world they're seeing on Monday mornings, but that's their issue. But the arrangement in our lease was that way.
I like that.
But
how closely within alignment with the school districts do y'all follow?
Yeah, 100%. That's why that's what you're measuring on when you talk about exemplary ratings. That's all based on TEKS tests.
Okay.
That's how well do you do on the end result on TEKS.
Okay.
And 70% of our standard accountability schools have the high rating, higher than the acceptable ratings. Yeah.
Okay.
All of our campuses are acceptable all across the board.
So do y'all do the STAR testing?
Yep.
Yes,
We do.
we're required to do that.
Okay, so you're pretty much required to do the same things that public schools are doing.
We are a public school
Okay.
district.
Okay.
Okay, and so the revenue, but there is no tuition
Correct.
for the student.
Yes.
Right.
And we get,
About 80%.
depending on how you look at it, about 83 to 87% of the allocation per student that the ISD gets.
Because we get no local tax base. We just get all the local tax base stays within the community. So we take none. We do benchmark testing. Is like we actually create our own benchmark tests. So 3 or 4 times a year, it's what we think the test is going to be like. So we're about to do another one here, and that's a whole department. I didn't take you to the tours. There's a curriculum department of 30, 35 people full time that write curriculum, do testing, do benchmarks, design. Some of the other stuff we didn't have. I work for the ISD. So
Okay, so you're a separate ISD.
Yeah, we literally are an ISD, Responsive Education Solutions, ISD. And the only difference.
Okay, so we would have to go to the town of Flower Mound and get a certificate
we
of
will
occupancy.
Do that with you. Our Russell J's facilities help you go through that process. A CO that would change a little bit of what you're doing from preschool. But from what I've seen of your facility, you have elevator, handicap accessible, sprinklers. They're not going to have any issues.
The town of Flower Mound won't have any issues.
Well, I'm not saying that. I'm saying
We're talking.
Outdoor space.
the outdoor space. You have some good space. You have where they play the soccer right now with Upward Sports. I think play over there with a great space. And usually when you're talking about sharing with a preschool like we are at First Baptist Church, you're going to work out times when the preschool is going to be on the playground and you're going to be on the playground. So it's much like a schedule that you have this play area at this time, you have this play area at this time, and they work out something that is able to meet both of their needs. We tried to plant a couple elementary schools.